Well, you're back, and our guest tonight is Glen Campbell, pride of Delight. Or it is Delight.
Delight, right.
Not Delight. Delight.
Right, Delight.
You put that city on the map, didn't you, by talking about it so much?
Yeah, they did put it on the map.
They did. I mean,
Yeah,
I say you did. You made it well known. A lot of people talked about Delight.
No, but it wasn't on the map.
Literally, it wasn't.
Literally, it wasn't on the map. So they finally put it on there.
You ever get back there?
Yeah, yeah. I was back, been back twice in the last couple of months. Went back fishing Labor Day and just had a ball. Floated down the Little Missouri River, which is down in Pike County, Arkansas. Caught a boatload of bass. And I better not. Better hush. I didn't buy my license.
You better. Well, this doesn't get into Arkansas anyway.
Okay.
Do they have a sign on the city limits there that home of Glen Campbell?
Yeah.
Do
Delight, home of Glen Campbell. Yeah. People go by and shoot at it. And kick it and go hit it with rocks, you know.
Throw bottles, yeah.
Really, that's what it is. I think it's a target for it. It's funny.
Makes you feel good. You live in Phoenix now. Finally got there.
Finally got to Phoenix.
Did you, when you did that song, by the time we get to Phoenix, do you have any idea you'd ever end up actually living there?
No, I sure didn't. I'm kind of like it says about the wind, you know, it comes from this place and you hear it go by and it goes to another place. That's kind of the way I am in life, you know. It's, I guess, a total like free spirit as far as, I have no qualms about where I live, really. I like to be comfortable. And I dislike cold. I mean, cold weather and I do not agree at all, hardly.
Well, it gets cold in Phoenix, does it?
No, not really.
Does it?
I don't know, I have an orange, 5 acres of orange trees, about 130 citrus trees, and no, they never,
Well, I thought
never
it did.
freezes there hardly.
I never spent much time. I've stopped over there on in some flights, but never.
You can get
spent
up 20 miles out of Phoenix and it's freezing. But it's really nice. I really do like it. It's a great state. They have a good school system for, and I'm going to raise some kids.
You got a new kid, new addition to the family.
Yeah, Nicholas Caledonia Campbell.
Now, where'd the name Nicholas Caledonia come from?
Well, Nicholas came from Jack Nicholas, I think. And Caledonia was the old name for Scotland. And I'm Scottish and Irish. And they called it New Caledonia, and then they called it Scotland, I think. I don't know really what it means. It means something from a place where people gather or something like that.
You call him Cal.
Cal.
Cal. We might get Cal up here on the set a little later.
Oh, he'd like it.
Now, how old is Cal?
He's 6 months. And he's going on 4 already, I think.
Running the household.
I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. Who was George Carlin said that anybody that makes the same mistake twice, they ought to hang them and they wouldn't do it again. So I'm carrying the kid around with me, and he's going to see what Daddy does. Because I think kids want to be with their parents, you know.
You didn't do that before?
No, I didn't. I think that was probably a mistake I'll correct with, at least with Cal.
Now, how many kids do you have in all?
Cal is my 7th child.
7th one. And you have some grandkids, I understand.
I got 2 grandbabies. My daughter from my first marriage, teenage marriage, wow. It seems weird. I have a grandkid.
It does. You don't.
My daughter insists they call me Grandpa. I said, no, I'm Pawpaw Glen now, you know.
It's going to seem funny for Cal now to have, they will be his...
Uncle.
Uncle.
Cal will be the... Well, I don't know. I could end up being my own grandpa, probably.
We'll get some specialists to figure out this relationship a little later. But you will have grandkids.
My grandkids, Cal is their uncle. And they're older than Cal.
That's right. It's going to seem strange, I suppose, as they grow
We'll
up.
have to call him Uncle Cal.
And you still want more kids, you say?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
What's any magic number you're shooting for?
I'd like 2 more boys. Then I'd have a 7th son. I'm a 7th son.
You are, I read where you're the 7th son of a 7th son.
No, I'm a 7th. My dad was I think the 2nd son.
So I read that wrong.
Yeah. And Grandpa wasn't a preacher. My brother is a Church of Christ preacher.
Read that wrong, too.
Yeah, Grandpa, well, they've been bios, you know.
I find
you
out...
must have got this from the National Enquirer.
No, I find out in reading these bios and these articles that time and time again,
they do.
Little facts are wrong.
That's a fact. But Grandpa Campbell, he went to the Baptist church. That always was strange to me when I was a kid growing up about religion and... Because at the Church of Christ, where they went, they don't play music, and they're not allowed to play. They don't have a piano. You don't play guitar. They don't even have a whistle that you hum the key in. They go and they all start singing. You know, in the sweet by and by, and you kind of have to. You know, everybody just joins in. But they allowed dancing, and then I'd go down to the Baptist church of Grandpa Campbell because I could play my guitar and sing in the church. But they didn't allow dancing. I said, they got that wrong. They should put the music where they allow the dancing. And that, you know, it was always something to me when I was a kid. But That's where mainly I got all my training for singing, was in the churches.
Well, let me ask you about the seventh son, because I've always heard that there's something to being the seventh son, that it's an omen of destiny or whatever. You ever feel that?
Yes, I do sometimes. My brother and them, they tell me stories about when I was a kid. I drowned when I was about 20 months old, and it was like no breathing, no pulse, no nothing for like 25 minutes. So I think the good Lord just took me up and gave me a little talking to before I could talk back. Mm-hmm. And I had a lady tell me once, she said, "Glenn, you're a seventh son." I said, "Oh, am I?" She said, you said, "You'll do a lot of things in your life." In other words, life will take you to places that you never dreamed of. Mm-hmm. You know, in other words, because my dreams weren't that big, you know. Just to play my guitar and sing was about all that I ever really looked forward to, because I truly enjoyed doing it.
You didn't look to be famous, to be rich, to be a big celebrity?
No, that never was one of my goals. When I was, like I said, I was in the 10th grade of school in Lindorth, New Mexico. And I had failed a geography test or something, and I said, and all I wanted to do was play and sing. I was playing on the weekend at a place called Coon Holler. And I said, I really don't care where Czechoslovakia is right now in my life. Mm-hmm. If I ever want to go there, I'll read it and find it out then. If this was going through my little mind, mm-hmm. you know. And right then, I quit school, and I played music from there on 6 days a week, 7 days a week.
When you were a very successful studio musician in L.A., and from what I understand, back many years ago, making pretty good money doing that.
Oh, there's good money in studio work.
And doing hundreds of sessions.
That was really a thrill. To the people that I worked with or for in the studio, say the Sinatra, and that was the biggest thrill for me in the world.
I'll bet.
Stand right here, sit there and play guitar, and Sinatra is 10 feet away
and
singing.
And he liked to sing live with the musician, not lay it in later.
No, he did it live. Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Mm-hmm. They had a hard time getting laughs out of the end of that, too. That was the first thing I played on. But in Nashville, there were many good rhythm guitar players. Mm-hmm. L.A., there wasn't that many. In other words, nobody up there even knew how to use a capo. Mm-hmm. And if you're playing an E-flat or any, you know, flats or sharp keys, except for G or whatever. I really don't know what all the flats and sharps are, to be honest. But I could put the capo on and get an open, ringing sound.
Now, capo is a little thing that goes over the neck of the guitar and
right.
changes the string
right.
structure.
You can play E-flat, and only I played in the C position, and it's open and ringing where you can't do that unless you got the capo. Mm-hmm. And that was mainly my cause, was rhythm guitar. And then I started playing some lead on stuff. And when I started working with Haggard, I really did enjoy that whole period of my life. For about 2 or 3 years there, I worked with Merle and Bonnie. The first one I worked on was The Fugitive, and then, you know, all the Sing Me Back Home.
Classic stuff.
Oh, just great stuff.
Yeah.
Hickory Holler's Tramp.
Can you read music?
No.
Still can't?
I read chords, you know. Not enough to hurt my picking, as they say back home.
To interfere with the naturalness
right.
of it. What I was getting out of this thing is to give up that lucrative studio work and to strike out on your own career, to make a name for Glen Campbell. Was that sort of a drive to become a big artist?
No, I was very surprised. Television, when a TV show hit, it was amazing, because it was the #1 show then, and you have anywhere from 50 to 60 million people a week watching you. And I'd done a trip.
Kind of like we have here on Miller and Company.
Right.
Basically about the same audience.
And I went to England to get something started over there, because Gentleman Mine started happening, and by the time I get to Phoenix, it started happening. And I said, how does by the time I get to Phoenix, I hit in England, you know, or Great Britain?
I don't know where it is.
Yeah. But it was a big song for me over there. And I come back and landed at Chicago. Mr. Campbell, welcome home. And I said, how does this guy know me? It didn't dawn on me that they see your face on that two shows it aired.
Yeah.
And you look in the charts in the top 100 and you see 5 albums, and it was just far beyond anything I'd ever dreamed of. Because when I was in Albuquerque working, never forget, Roger Miller had come through. Mm-hmm. And Willie Nelson had come through also. But Roger was playing fiddle with Ray Price and singing harmony then. Mm-hmm. And that was my dream, you know, the Glen Campbell show on the side of the bus. Mm-hmm. Well, for some reason, it just threw it far beyond anything I'd ever dreamed of.
It just catapulted you way ahead of where you...
But I kept doing studio work.
Yeah.
Up at 1968, my New Year's resolution was I'll play on Glen sessions. Mm-hmm. Well, I did break it after that, because Hag called me and wanted me to do harmony with him on Carolyn, so sure, I'd go in the studio and do it. But it was just, I mean, I kept on doing it even after Gentle on My Mind had come out, and by the time I get to Phoenix in 1967, I still was doing studio work.
How did you get mixed up with the Smothers Brothers? How did they just call you up one day and say, "Want you to do our show"?
No, I played on their album. I played on a couple of their albums.
Ah.
I met everybody literally in the business. So, and to meet the people that you would work for, you know, say the Ray Charles or the Nat King Cole was a wonderful human being. God rest his soul. But to play for the Dean Martins and the Sinatras and the Elvises, and then on that level as a studio musician, and then to talk with them on the level of, say, one of their peers, then you really could tell the good ones from the bad ones, you know, the ones that were the Mr. Shuck and Jives, and the ones that are the real people.
Yeah.
And the ones that I talk of, probably the most real person I met was John Wayne. And boy, howdy, he had a little daughter who was a big fan of Glen Campbell. She was about 6 or 7 years old then, and Duke brought her down to get my autograph. You talk about
John Wayne bringing.
Oh my goodness gracious! I tell you, my mouth flew open.
Yeah.
Because I used to pick cotton, you know, for $1 or $100 to get enough money to go see him at the movies at D-Light.
And there you were in a movie with him.
No.
You know, I read where
Awesome.
you signed a big deal with Paramount to do a bunch of pictures, and I know you did True Grit. I don't recall the others.
Norwood with Joe Namath.
Norwood, okay.
After I said, this ain't what I want to do.
It wasn't?
No. I mean, I'd have worked in every picture with John Wayne if I'd had the chance. But it wasn't what I wanted to represent, period. I mean, I just didn't like the road they were taking me down. I mean, the whole thing, the plot of Norwood was, the guy's big dream was to get on the Louisiana hayride with his chicken, and that sounded kind of dumb to me right off. You know, but I did it in the movie.
Yeah.
Now the Louisiana hayride is no more, you know, so them kind of stories and the songs that they were having me do. Well, Mac Davis wrote the songs for Norwood. There's some good songs in it.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't my cup of tea, and I said, if I don't have no more say over what I do, because I didn't like the cussing in it. In fact, they had to cut it out, most of it out. I didn't cuss in it. But this wasn't things that would happen in real life.
Yeah. So the acting just didn't gel with you. You didn't like it.
No, it's not that. It's a lot of work. I was talking to Dolly Parton about it. She said, "My goodness gracious, you know, this is this is worse than getting up and going to plow. You know, you're up at 6 in the morning, you get home at 6 or 7 at night.
Yeah.
And it's that way straight through. I did it on True Grit for like probably 2.5 months.
So
I could have went out and worked one night and made more money than I made on True Grit, you know.
But that was worth it. Working
It was definitely worth
with
it.
John Wayne.
I had to go in. I got to tell you, I had to go in and loop. Well, you know, where I can't even talk that high. But you're talking about nervous. John Wayne, I'll never forget the first line he said to me, because all was going through my head was, my God, like I walked out of the theater at Delite, Arkansas, and here I am riding in the flesh. I had to pinch myself and say, yeah, I am really here, and this is really the Duke, you know. And he said, I understand you rode with General Kirby in Shreveport, is that right? Yeah, I rode with General Kirby. Yeah. My voice was so high, I had to go back in and loop and mouth the first 2 weeks. Yeah, I rode with General Kirby in Shreveport. You know.
Make it more macho, yeah.
Oh, gosh, it was funny.
How do you like the part of being a celebrity where everybody writes about you, talks about your personal life? And they've done a lot of that with you, Glenn.
Gosh, yeah.
Does that bother you?
Well, we will all be rewarded. We'll all get our just due. At the end, it doesn't really bother me that much. I know what I am. Mom and Dad know. My wife knows. My friends know. And God knows. I think that's the most important thing. So I've actually, as I've gotten older, maybe I've gotten a little more wiser not to be so quick to judge and leave the revenge to the Lord. I think he can think up things to do to people that I never could imagine anyway.
Yeah, you don't fool with it.
I don't fool with it.
I read in a People magazine article about you and your wife, Kim. Came out earlier this year. And I think it was Jerry Reed who said at one point, before you married Kim, they were a little worried about you, that you were getting a little funky. You were getting a little...
I was going through some, of course, 2 divorces. And it was. I didn't have my head on straight for a while. But I guess people go through those periods. You have to have the... You know, I felt so far down I had to reach up to touch bottom, it felt like. But... Actually, I think we get ourselves into more trouble because we're either selfish or we bring the problems on ourselves, or we're envious, or we have too much pride or something like that.
That was just an unhappy period for you?
Yes, it was. It was an unhappy period. All the circumstances, the whole thing. But have faith and everything will be great.
Working okay now?
Oh, I tell you, I finally quit trying to run it myself, you know. I said, here, God, take the reins. I'll ride in the wagon. You know where you're going.
Yeah. Let me take a break. We'll be back with Glen Campbell after this. We are back with Glen Campbell. After your TV show went off the air, it was 72, I think, when it left the air, there were a period of a few years where you weren't having a lot of hit records, a little lull.
I was just working.
Before Rhinestone Cowboy. Did you get a little panicked? Do you gauge your success by the regularity of hit records?
No. I was just out working for a while. I wasn't finding any songs, really. And when Rhinestone Cowboy come along, I took it to... It's in '74 I first heard it on KNX in L.A. And Larry White, his album had been out a year, and it was just something that I wanted to say. Took it to Australia. I was doing a tour of Australia. And played it over and over and over. I must have played it 200, gosh, over 200 times. I don't know, 2,000 times would be more like it.
Just listening to it?
Yeah, and getting it in. And I knew I could hear the whole thing in my head before I ever got back to L.A. Walked in the studio, and the guy said, I got a song I want you to record, Glenn. He said, if you'll cut it for me, I'll make it #1. And it was Rhinestone Cowboy.
Yeah, and it worked.
Yeah, #1 across the board. I like that.
But you don't feel the pressure to constantly have the regular hit songs come out every 6 months or however often you release them?
No, I don't really, because I've been very fortunate and blessed to have the songs that I have done. They've become standards. They were good yesterday. They're good today, and they'll be good tomorrow, you know. Yeah. Thank God. And that is really, I think, what, I don't know if you can call it a separation or not, but what makes a person stay where they are. I mean, to do something that you, like right now on stage, I'm having to, that's where I'm happiest, is when I'm on stage singing live or playing live. I finally realized that I have a gift to play and sing, and not to abuse that and not to bastardize what God gives you. And, it's so much fun to sing and play now. And I'm looking forward to that. That's why I'm in Nashville. I'm down here cutting an album, because I want to cut some more of those kind of things now that will last, say like a Sweet 16 or something that's going to be around a long time. You know, Amazing Grace is over 200 years old, and everybody knows it. Why? It's a good piece of material.
Yeah. I'm fascinated by the fact that you don't read music, and you play a lot of instruments. And in fact, I think I remember seeing you on some TV show playing the bagpipes.
Oh, yeah.
You play the bagpipes. You speak of a beautiful instrument. Now, I've heard Amazing Grace, and in fact, that may be the song you played. I'm not sure, but
it probably was.
I have heard people play that. Beautiful.
Oh, I love it. I love the bagpipes. It's something that's in your blood. You either love them or you hate them, or you dislike them. But I heard the Royal Scots, the Royal Dragoon record of Amazing Grace, and it really inspired me. It made me want to do Amazing Grace. And so I got me some pipes, and there was an old Scotsman in Los Angeles named Daniel Hood. He was about 74, 5 years old then, and in fact, he played on my record of Amazing Grace. It was on, I think, I Knew Jesus Before He Was a Superstar album. And he taught me how to play the pipes. He said, you do this, lad, that's all you do. You blow in the here, and you note it here, and squeeze it there, you know. And that's what, but it wasn't that easy, my goodness gracious.
What's the hardest one to play of all the things you do?
The bagpipes. They're the hardest instrument I ever tried to play. I played bass for a year and sang the high part with the Beach Boys in '65. That was a hard thing to do, to play for me. It's like, then you're learning to do two things. You're playing the lowest instrument in the band, and yet your voice, you're singing it to be the highest instrument. And boy, it took me a month to comprehend that, and before I was able to do both of them well.
You've set in for the lead singer of the Beach, Brian Wilson, who uses I don't know, it's a falsetto.
Falsetto, yeah.
And you did the same thing? Does that change your voice or alter your voice or strengthen?
I would say it gave me another tone and a half on the top end. You know, like where I would say an A. Now, then I could hit a high C, you know, with ease, actually, in falsetto.
And going into a falsetto. Yep. Do you still do the Beach Boy songs?
I haven't done it for a while. I have two Beach Boy medleys that I do. I would say some of the songs that I played on. But that's why I went out on the road with them and started doing live, because I'd done so much studio work with them. And the last thing I worked on them with was Good Vibrations.
What was wrong with their lead singer where you moved into there?
Brian, he got sick.
Oh.
And I don't know, he gained a lot of weight, and I don't know what it was. He sat around a long time, and he got very, very, it's like the guy said the old joke, I may be schizophrenic, but I'll always have each other. Well, Brian got a little, he got very, very, when he became a star, it really did, it did something to his head about he did not want to go out, he couldn't go out and face people.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, I mean, they took a survey one time I was reading, and I found out it was an accurate survey, that over death, fear of walking out and speaking to people live. They fear that more than death.
I've read that.
Brian, obviously, in the studio he was great, but he would not go out and go on that stage. It was like, it drove him crazy.
There are a lot of good performers who had that same fear. Carly Simon, I understand, for many years had a dreaded fear.
To walk out on stage.
Going out on stage, which is unusual. We wouldn't think of a performer.
What do they call that, I wonder? Being afraid.
Being afraid of going on stage and in front of people, I suppose. You never had that, though.
No, I didn't. First time we went out, I'd always been around somebody. I was with the Champs of tequila fame.
Mm-hmm.
On the road, making $80 a week, pulling a trailer, you know, full of guitars and amps. And I'd always had somebody beside me. You know, I was in a group with the Beach Boys. I was in a group. Then when I had to walk out there, I look around and there's nobody to turn to.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really scary. And it took me a good year and a half to get over that, to where I wasn't awkward or, because it seemed like I always had to relate something to somebody.
Yeah.
Then I found out you have to relate it to the audience.
But you know, everybody in the audience is staring at you.
Yeah.
Not anybody else out there. You're the one that...
Oh, that used to really bother me. I love it now. I love to look out in the audience and see happy, smiling faces. You can see love in their eyes.
Uh-huh.
Cork Island, we played the 24th of July this year. Played the Shimsei, I think is what they call it. What do they call that, Carl? Shimsei. And if you ever get a chance to see an Irish band, go see them. It is the most hair-raising. It sounds like hill music and folk music and just everything blown into one. They got what they call those pipes. Carl Jackson, he's my historian. The Uli pipes? Uli pipes or something. You pump them and you play them. Their instrumentation consisted of that, tin whistle, mandolin, they played banjo, guitar, bass, and it was the most hair-raising experience I've ever seen in my life. I was sitting on the side of the stage, and I was seeing everybody was just holding hands, and I never saw such love and affection in all my life from an audience.
Mm-hmm.
And it started at 2 in the afternoon. It was like probably 30,000 people there at the end of a soccer field. And I went out, and when I did Amazing Grace at the pipes at the end, they drowned me out. It was just a thrill.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'll bet.
I stood on the side of the stage, and Carl was sitting there, and I saw tears coming out of Carl's eyes, and I said, sure is good, ain't it? I mean, you just saw so much love and so much feeling there. And that's what I see now.
Yeah.
When I'm on the stage in the audience, I see people out there paying money to come and see you. So be what you are. Do what you do.
Did you go through a little phase, though, Glenn, with the ego? Before you were 30 years old, I read, you know, you're making millions of dollars a year. You're the top singer in the country. Did the ego take a little trip at that point?
Not really, no.
Never did?
Mm-mm. I took up golf about then. I mean, before that, golf will humble you. And I used to, I've mellowed on that, too. And it's like the kid was playing golf with the older man, you know, and he'd curse, and he'd throw clubs and stick them in the ground, you know, and he'd kick dirt. And he shot about 95, and he's a hacker, and he went through with the round, and the old man looked at him, he said, son, I don't know why you do that. You ain't that good anyway. And it kind of, the philosophy taught me a lesson there. Just be happy you have your facilities, and be happy that you're breathing, you know.
Yeah, and you can do it.
You can do it. Definitely you can do it.
Absolutely. You sponsor, or your name is still associated with the golf?
No, that last year was it. When I moved,
you dropped it?
Yeah. Or they wanted to call it something. They wanted to put a...
Well, they dropped you.
Yeah. However, in other words, I'm not there.
Hurt your feelings?
No.
What did you do as host of a golf tournament, anyhow?
You put on a show, and you go do... it's a lot of work involved in it. And I never made any money out of it, but I did what I wanted to do with the golf tournament, and fulfilled a promise to Mr. Hathaway, who owns Los Angeles Athletic Club and owns Riviera Country Club. Said, if you'll let me have the golf course for the LA Open, that I would try to get a major tournament there, in which they had the PGA there this last year. So everything worked out fine, so job done. Now I want to do something for the senior players, the guy that's laid the foundation, you know. They're playing for not as large a purses, I don't think, as it should be playing for. So I want to try to do something in that vein to sponsor a tournament, and so the guys over 50 can, because I'm going to be there too, God willing, in a few years. And get them a $400,000 or $500,000 purse to play for, because they kick the doors open for all the flat bellies, as they call them, out there on the tour, you know.
Does that bother you? You say you're closing in on 50, as many of us are. We're in the decade now. We're closing in on 50.
No,
you're one that worries about getting old. Worries about your age.
No, I'm like George Burns. You know, not many people die over 100.
That's right.
But no, to get back to what you said, no, I don't worry about it. Chronological age is. I guess it's what the body ages, you know. Actually, you stop growing and your skin keeps growing. I think that's what it is.
Oh,
you know,
we're going somewhere. It's sagging now.
Right. Yeah. But it's I don't pay any attention to it. Spiritually, to live with your inner spirit, I think, is probably the best thing in the world to do. If people would understand love and God and integrity, there wouldn't be very many psychiatrists working, probably. So just stay happy and do what you do. And John Wayne's, his philosophy was, if a man lies and cheats and steals, it's not that you break any laws laid down by God or Creator, it's that you break your own integrity. He said, show me a man without integrity, son, and I'll show you a real. And then he had choice words.
What do you want to be doing 10 years from now?
Well, what I'm doing right now.
Sitting here on Miller & Company?
Why not? Still be hot enough for you to have me back then, right?
I hope so. And we'll do it. We'll check with you.
Just to keep singing, just keep playing, searching for the good songs.
Yeah. Well, good luck to you.
Thank
I appreciate you doing this tonight.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Glen Campbell, our guest tonight. Thank you, people, for watching. That's our show. We'll see you back here next week.